So let's go to some quotes of him. So the past has no power over the present moment. So this is something very common for him to say. And you've got to remember, like, people that aren't into non-duality, like, that's a really profound statement. The past has no power over the present moment, because to most people in our society, they are seeing themselves as somebody moving through time. So everything they are now is because of time. So past, what they've done in the past, is of the utmost importance. So really, you might not be able to remember the radicalness of this statement, but it is a really radical statement. The past. So that means, like, if you were in a car crash yesterday and lost a leg, that has no power over this present moment. I mean, that's like got immense depth. I mean, it's really profound what he says. Yeah, just let me make sure my sound is. Yeah, so, and it's true, because the past does not exist now. So you might have this leg which is totally destroyed in this moment, but the past doesn't actually exist now and never has existed. It only ever is an imagination. So what's happening now is there's pain and there's no leg, and there might be immense grief and sadness about that. But the past, you know, should I have done something different, or this happened, or it was their fault, like all these thoughts that you typically believe have no weight. Your freedom is always who you are, which is this moment, even with pain. That's really radical compared to what society believes. I can also see how people can abuse these types of things. It's, you know, a disaster for somebody whose personality is not balanced, because they could be really abusive to their partner, and then they could tell themselves the narrative, the past doesn't exist, I never did that, and not apologize. So I can see the dangers of it, which is the same with everything. And that's just something to bring into conversation. It doesn't mean that we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's still very profound and can really like create depth in pondering this. So some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. Yeah, that's, I mean, to me, that's like a really basic quote. I'm not meaning to be rude to Eckhart Tolle, but it wouldn't have been when I first met Eckhart. So it's like, you know, if you took it to the most extreme again of somebody having a car crash, like some changes might look negative on the surface, you'll soon realize they're creating space. You know, or if somebody treats you really badly, I wouldn't see it like that. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. So I wouldn't disagree with that. The only thing that I would also elaborate on is that we don't know what thoughts are, and are they really separate from physiology of the body? So are they, like, we don't know, like, thoughts, feelings, hormones, like all these different things. So it's like, to me, I see the whole body as like a circular system. So if you have like lots of negative thoughts, then you're going to produce particular hormones in the body, which will then set off other triggers and feelings in the body. So if you have anxiety thoughts, you might then release adrenaline, and then you might have stress feeling, and then there might be more thoughts generated. So I wouldn't say it's just thoughts, but I would say the overall belief in yourself and in thoughts and in feelings. Like, so the way that I would say it, I'm not saying it's better than Eckhart Tolle, it's just the way this gets expressed, is that nothing that you think, feel, or experience is truth or reality. But that's like really extreme. Like, I say that to people 1,000 times and it's like, bum. Like, so nothing you're experiencing is reality. Whereas when you believe yourself to be someone, you're always taking your thoughts and who you are in the situation and life to be really serious and really real. Yeah. Okay, let's go for a nice long quote. Give up defining yourself to yourself or to others. You won't die. You will come to life. And don't be concerned with how others define you. When they define you, they are limiting themselves, so it's their problem. Whenever you interact with people, don't be there primarily as a function or a role, but as a field of conscious presence. You can only lose something that you have, but you cannot lose something that you are. I mean, that's so deep. I mean, the way I would go in is I would want to say, who is the person that's giving up defining themselves? Like, even the idea of the person that's defining themselves. But he says that in other sentences in the book. You know, it's also really beautiful that he's more direct about it. Like, it's not something that arises here, so I don't even ever think to talk about that I don't go around defining myself. I go around defining myself with emotions and feelings in order to have more healthy relationships. So I will go around and say, you know, if I feel afraid now, or if I feel upset about something. But in general, it's not a narrative that I'm interested in. It's something to help me and aid me in relationships, but I also don't even hold that tightly to it. It's just to communicate better. So there's also a defining of my psychology. And the more that I defined it in detail, like, the more helpful it is to get on better with people and to stop doing silly things that we're all prone to. But I don't really define that as me. It's just a functioning of this body. It's just a helpful tool. But there's not a narrative. I remember when I was younger, like, this narrative of who I was, and always having an image in my head of who I was. Like, holding, it was so tight, this image. And, you know, when I was interacting with people, it would be like this image interacting with another image, and these thoughts and feelings. You might not even notice this beginning to fall away. It sort of slips away, and it's like anything. Like, when the stone isn't in the shoe, you don't notice, but when the stone is in the shoe, you notice. And it's so beautiful. When they define you, they are limiting themselves. So they can hold a light definition. So like, when I'm in a relationship with people, if somebody is acting in a painful way, I might define their psychology to help me navigate that situation, or when I'm working with someone. But generally, there is no definition of them. They are free. What's experiencing each other is oneness. And that is who they truly are. That's what they always are. And even when I define their psychology, that can always change in every moment. These little chemical reactions happen and then they're gone. That's not who they are. And do you remember how you always used to be like, that's who they are, and they're an asshole, and they're this and they're that. Beep, 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 beep. What the difficulty with this type of teaching is what it can do. And so some people that are very averse to these kind of more prescriptive teachings, it sounds like what he's doing is prescriptive teachings, but actually, is it really prescriptive teachings? Is it just a way of pointing something out? But sometimes people have great aversion to these prescriptive teachings because They have this immense terror and fear around being a failure or around doing something wrong. And so when they hear this, they instantly have to reject it and go to like extreme neo-Advaita non-duality, because it gives them terror, the idea that there is something wrong with them, that they're vulnerable in some way, that they're not like totally independent, totally self-independent. Like, so some people have the pathology where they have to be totally the authority of everything, in the sense that they can't ask other people for help, they can't like listen to these types of advice, because it makes them feel very vulnerable and very insecure. They have to always be right in everything they do, and everything else from that they will just cut off and avoid. So this, like, working on themselves would be too vulnerable. Right, so just look in yourself now. If, like me, being supportive of Eckhart Tolle, and you feeling more vulnerable, just see what's happening in the body. No, but there is no body. That is true, but the good chance that you're going there in this moment is because it makes you feel very vulnerable. So the rejection of it, like, just feel that rejection of it and see what's underneath that rejection of it. Like, why am I rejecting this so so strongly, aversely? It might be because you feel like they're wrong. But if you really understood oneness, like, nothing's right, so why would you have such a strong feeling to someone being wrong? Like, it doesn't matter, it's only words. Somebody's going to lead you astray. So then there's this fear of other people that they're going to lead you astray. Like, you know better than other people. They're not as intelligent as you. They don't know as much as you. You're more well-read. You might not be able to get to that thought easily. It's these people tend to be, in psychology, what I would call more avoidant personalities. They avoid making strong relationships with people because it's too vulnerable for them. So they avoid it in this, like, rejection of, like, no. Not wanting to be helped by others, intimate by others, but they wouldn't know they're being like that because they would be avoiding it. But everyone else can see it from the outside. It's like the ones in the YouTube chat that's trying to teach everybody else in the YouTube chat. They tend to be the avoidant ones. No, Lisa, you don't understand. You are a bad teacher. I have to help other people in this, because otherwise all these other people will be led astray by your bad teaching and Eckhart Tolle's bad teaching. Right. But if you really listen to me, I'm not saying there is one teaching. So you can disagree with the way I teach, but that energy, that fighting energy, like, why not just switch off? Why not go to somebody else that's, like, more resonates with you? The fighting energy is there because it's like your defense, it's your pattern. I can't be vulnerable. Must fight anyone that tries to make me vulnerable or make me think I'm vulnerable. And then they make an identity out of that. And what is it that's beyond all of that? Like, why does all of that matter? So you've got these feelings arising, these thoughts arising, and that's the illusion. What else is happening in the experience beyond that? Nothing, and that nothing is terrifying. Not being you, not knowing what's happening, not understanding what's happening intellectually is terrifying. Not being able to put it into nice categories of good teacher, bad teacher is terrifying. Terrifying. Then you've got the other extremes. You've got the characters that are so desperate for somebody to lead them because that's their identity. They need a leader. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just looking again like what's happening here. I get onto Eckhart Tolle's and like hold on and won't let go. He must love me. He must see me. I must be the best student. Okay, let's go on to another quote. To love is to recognize yourself in another. Yes, yes. And what I suspect he means by yourself is who you truly are, which is this undefinable moment, this undefinable experiencing, which is everywhere, this oceanic oneness that's only here. Here. I get so excited talking about this. Today I'm actually a little bit sleepy, but then this comes on and bah! This is fantastic. Time isn't precious at all because it is an illusion. What you perceive as precious is not time, but the one point that is out of time, the now. That is precious indeed. The more you are focused on time, past and future, the more you will miss the now, the more precious things there is, the most precious thing there is. Beautiful. Time isn't precious at all. And society is absolutely convinced that time is the most precious thing there is. It's like aging is a disaster. Woman going to... No, sorry, that was going off on one. I was going to make a joke. But people are terrified of aging. They're terrified of losing time, but you never lose time because you're always here. Everything just seems to change and evolve. But actually, when you really, really get into this moment, without you, where is this past? Where is this younger version of you or older version of you? You're only ever what you are now. Isn't that right, Khaleesi? This is what... To go back to see what we see. So with Khaleesi, you can see up my nose now. My wonderful nose. So with Khaleesi, hello, Ee. You can all view what a mess my room is. Hello, Khaleesi. Khaleesi, can I just ask you a question? Okay, sorry. Okay, you carry on sleeping. But I'm just going to pretend you're not sleeping and that you're awake. Khaleesi, can I just ask you, how old are you? F off. Okay, thank you. I'm sleeping. Okay, thank you. So, but just going away from doing her voice and impressions, does Khaleesi think she is old or young? Does she have any sense of aging, of losing time? Does she think, oh man, today I've been so sleepy and I haven't had a good day and I'm unhappy? Like she never has that moment of like, oh, I've got 15 years to live and I have to make this exceptional effort to have the most miraculous, better than everybody else 15 years. She's just like whatever she is in the moment, and she's always ecstatic to be whatever she is in the moment. She's just here. Here I am. And it's the same for us. And this is like one of the fundamental sufferings of humans, is this idea that they're alive and that they have to be happy. So it's I even read a scientific report, like people that are trying to enjoy something often enjoy it like 10 times less. So you get born, you got to have the family, you got to do all these things, the job, and then you've got to be happy in all of it. And people are like, Hi, have a good day. Jazz hands. And this is an impossibility. How could this happen? You're only ever now. The most important thing is this moment, is what's happening now. Like everything else is illusory. Every thought, every feeling, every idea, memories, future plans is illusory. What you have is now, always. And this precludes a person, because where is the person but time bound? I think I used to love that Tony said, that I don't know if he still says it, is me is in time, in English at least. I don't know, Zeit. I don't think that works in other languages, but you see T-I-M-E, me is in time. So in this moment, where are you? Where is this separate entity that's experiencing the world? If you really go into the experiencing of this moment, there is no world and there is no you. There is only what is, which is absolute mystery. And this waking up, this experiencing will shift the physiology of the body. I feel if I didn't get into this subject, my character would have gone on to be a bit of a nightmare. She's still, you know, funky. She's not the most like good at hunting in the you know like in this society and like doing the everyday things, but she does it. But I feel like this character would have been so much more difficult if that awakening hadn't happened. In that awakening, you know, all these other extra useless thoughts sort of disappeared and the character relaxed a lot. But she still has issues. I'm not trying to make out that she's perfect, and there's always a possible expansion. I can lose my rag to the call center. You know, when you're on the call center to people for hours and hours, and then they hang up on you and you phone back, and then you have to go through it again, and then you put it onto another department, another one, and hang up, and when you spent hours, I can lose my rag in the end. Like, hello, I know you're a new person, you haven't heard what's happened so far. Okay, to the next quote of Eckhart Tolle. Where are the quotes? Here they are. Here they are. Do, 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 do. Life isn't as serious as the mind makes it out to be. That's for sure. I have lived with several Zen masters, all of them cats. Life is the dancer and you are the dance. That's very Ramesh style. Anything that you resent and strongly react to in another is also in you. I mean, like anything that you react to in another can only be you, because you can only see the physiology of this brain. So, you know, if somebody in front of you is shouting, your brain has to be able to interpret that. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to interpret it. So, you know, a slug wouldn't be able to interpret that. It would, like, someone would be shouting and it would be no different to them not shouting. So, and everyone will have different relationships to that. So if you grew up in a family where there's lots of shouting, then it might not be a big deal, because maybe you in your childhood got love through shouting and through aggression. So, you know, it's different to somebody that never experienced shouting before. So the relationship to the shouting will be very different. So I would, like the way everything you see in another in the world is the brain popping chemistry, or the body popping chemistry, or like a chemical reaction happening, and none of it is reality. However, as humans, we have this collective reality, and we all sort of kind of live in this collective reality, and those that don't, we call mentally ill, or an animal, or an insect, or cognitively impaired or something. So a bee would be seeing this room, or a fly or a slug would be experiencing this room completely different to the way a human does. But humans have this collective reality where we name things and we name scenarios, and then we all share in naming it the same thing, and we have sort of these similar experiences and interpretations of situations. So if someone's being angry in a certain way, we might all collectively agree that that's something that's abusive, but it's always debatable because it's a collective reality that's not a fixed thing and changeable, subject to change. So I'm not trying to say, if you've been raped by somebody, that it's and you're really upset about it, that it's you raping you in a way as the absolute is, but on the human level, we can name that as abusive, and that person did a bad thing, and that is really horrible experience, but it's not the fact, and it's not the absolute way it is, and it's not absolutely real. But it's important for our sanity that we all name it collectively, especially with like something terrible like rape. But like, if you didn't have interpretations of that, it wouldn't be rape. But I'm not saying that as in justifying it in any way. It's just our way of justifying that and saying what that is. That is rape. Him raping her without consent. But we know, like in dogs, that happens, but we don't call it rape. It's that's hard to explain, eh? That can be very confusing, and for me, it sent me through a very passive stage. I was always very ethical, and then I got to this, and I felt like I had to give up my ethics, which is a really good phase to go through. But it also made me really susceptible to tolerate and accept people's bad behavior, because I thought it was a projection of my mind, or I thought I had to change my mind, or I saw it as illusory in some way. And a lot of people go through that stage, and that seems to have relevance because we all seem to go through it, but it can be a bit dangerous. For me, it was a bit dangerous. I went a bit too far with that, and got a little bit of trauma, and maybe caused trauma to other people. But this is the difficulty when you're an explorer, which all of us are. We're not sticking with just the collective reality and what the collective says is the right thing to do. We're all exploring outside of the box. This is only for typically open-minded people, or people that have had extreme stress. But in the exploration of this, as we break down boundaries and explore, there's going to be times when we trip over and tumble and make mistakes, and the best that we can do is when we get up and we see the mistake, we go, I'm sorry, with also knowing that it couldn't have been any other way, and also that it didn't happen, but you apologize because you understand that is the most functional way humans can interact. And it's also, you feel this as well, you don't want other people ultimately to hurt because of your mistakes, but it's what happens. Love is not selective, just as the light of the sun is not selective. It does not make one person special. It is not exclusive. Exclusivity is not the love of God, but the love of ego. However, the intensity with which true love is felt can vary. There may be one person who reflects your love back to you more clearly and more intensely than others. And if that person feels the same towards you, it can be said that you are in a love relationship with him or her. The bond that connects you with that person is the same bond that connects you with the person sitting next to you on the bus. bus, or with a bird, a tree, a flower, only the degree of intensity with which it felt differs. Beautiful. 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 So the way that I would phrase that is that like being in love with somebody, there is the chemical reaction of being in love where you want to create babies, but like truly being in love with someone is like seeing them as who they truly are, which is nothing. And that is the same with everything. Everything is nothing, but you can have the experience with one person where it can be expressed. So you can really express that nothingness with that other person. And that is very individual as to why objects, two particular people, get drawn to each other. Yeah. Another way I would say it is that when you fall in love with someone, the seeking stops and then the oneness can be revealed. Like you no longer want to be anywhere, so there's just this oneness. Okay, I'll do one more, and then I will move on to questions. Yeah, this is maybe his best quote. I love this quote. Death is a stripping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die and find that there is no death. Yeah. Death is a stripping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die and find that there is no death. So that's going back to the awakening experience that I explained that was similar to Eckhart Tolle's, and what I say the awakening experience is that there comes a point where there is a collapsing of everything you think you know you are and a going beyond the intellect to the original. It's like everything's stripped away and you're back to the original source of what you are, the sourcey source. And yeah, you can call it death. Like in that oneness experience, there's absolutely no you. There is no world, there is no anything. And that never dies, that was never alive. It can never die. It is this. It is mystery, it is unknown, and it's the most intimate sense of being. And everybody has it. I don't have it more than you or the next person. The only difference is that in the next person, they might believe that they are a subject in an objective world. Okay, so 2 questions. So if you want to